Hello Eternum and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. No change in the dynamic of Eternum last night as all 5 great houses hold court, setting the standard for world PvP. Of note in Everfall, the champs of Regime extend Eternum's longest recorded Neverfall streak to 12. Shifting to the western resort town of Ebonscale, KOTT news crews were on the scene with Secret's leadership last night. Congratulations on your victory out there, Governor. How do you think you and the participants did tonight?
Well, I just want to say everyone did a great job, and it was a good opportunity for people that didn't get to compete in wars often to take part. So that's all we could hope for.
Do you mind, while I've got you here, if I could ask you what your expectations are for Ebonscale going forward?
Well, we just hope to make this a fun hub for Purple to hang out in, and we're going to keep our upgrades strong and have a good time.
Humility and victory was a reoccurring theme last night as KOTT news crews discovered while reporting from First Light. Sinisters, thank you for meeting with me. Congratulations in your victory out there, holding the line and maintaining the spiced flow from here to Ebonscale. How do you think everyone did out there?
I just want to give a shout out to our enemy opponents today. They really brought their A game, and we look forward to fighting them again.
Turning to the weather, and it's a sunny morning all day long, so enjoy those clear paths throughout the island. But look out for 2 matinees due to early evening tidal falls in the southeast, before 2 more later in the evening. 4 submissions for tonight's simulated fantasy combat resolution brought to you by LARPGO. Remember, if it isn't LARPGO, it's cardboard. Up first, the Covenant forces of Here Be Monsters Inc. attack the Syndicate forces of, and they don't stop coming, for control of the primary oil reserves of Weaver's Fen. Here Be Monsters Incorporated may have an imposing name, but they've made it clear they're here to enjoy themselves in combat. And they don't stop coming, have been juggling the defense of their recently acquired hamlet. All these wars for oil have been slowing the town upgrades. Then, the Marauders of Renters' Rights Collect challenge founding Great House, Primordius Virtue, for control of the fishing port town of Reekwater. Despite mounting pressure from competing factions, Primordius Virtue has been slowly improving the infrastructure of the hamlet. Newcomers Renters' Rights Collect would seem better suited to challenge the shores to the east, but as they're here, let's fight for the fish. Meanwhile, the Covenant forces of Chad attempt a conquest of the Syndicate forces of Washed Millennials for control of the northernmost region of Morningdale. This will be Chad's second attempt to seize land in Eternum, in the place they were first rumored to have been seen. For Washed Millennials, their first defense of the fort comes just 2 days after acquiring it themselves. They may not have had time to hunker in. In the nightcap, the Marauders of Homeowners Association are knocking on the door of Black Wolf's company, and they're here to talk about cleaning up Monarch's Bluff. The Homeowners Association is trying to assess a special fee for private road maintenance and the addition of a gate. But Black Wolf's company is having none of that on their acreage. If you're coming up to their house and trying to tell them what to do, you better bring your LARPGO. Be sure to tune in for complete coverage and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello Eternum and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. Dynamic changes in the history of Eternum last night as multiple marauding land forces secure 2 regions for the Marauders. We spoke with Marauder leadership after the battles about their intentions for the regions. Sturf, JChalant, KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source to news. Congratulations on your victory tonight in Reekwater. It was a pretty close one. You had about 5 minutes to get the final flag, but you managed to do it. How do you think things went out there?
Great, man. Honestly, it took us a little longer than I expected. They definitely put up a decent fight, so hats off to them. But yeah, that was a close one. It was close. We made the right calls, though, at the right times, and we won the fort. There you go.
You mind letting us know what your intentions are for the hamlet and region of Reekwater?
We'll keep it cruising, man. It's gonna be a nice little swamp. Nice weather, nice upgrades. You know, low taxes. We already took them down a little bit. You know, it'll be nicer green. And not opposed to anyone trying to come take it back as well. So we're looking forward to it.
In Monarch's Bluff, KOTT News caught up with HOA leadership revealed to be a sub-company of Landlord as well. So, we spoke with Sturf again, this time about the Bluff. Well, I got comment from you earlier, but would you care to say anything tonight about tonight's fight in Monarch's Bluff?
Hey man, yeah, Monarch's Bluff was our old home on YGG before we switched over here, so it's good to be home.
Turning to the weather, and it looks like another beautiful day all morning long. Until early evening cold front super blasts will drive a tremendous surge of invasions throughout the island, so plan your travel accordingly. Only one roster submission for tonight's simulated fantasy combat resolution, brought to you by LARPGO. Remember, if it isn't LARPGO, it's cardboard. Tonight, the Covenant forces of Chump Change assail the Syndicate forces of Secrets for control of the secondary oil reserves of Cutlass Keys. The Chumps attempt to secure a southern region on the island on back-to-back nights, having lost to the Squirrels of First Light last night. For the forces of Secrets, their first defense of the fort as they continue to settle in and develop the hamlet. But being the only fight for tonight, they're sure to have all their best defenders there. We'll have the outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. No change in the dynamic of Eternum last night as the forces of Secrets stand their ground and retain the mineral rights to the secondary oil reserves of Cutlass Keys. Chump Change was able to secure one objective 10 minutes in, but Secrets fell back into a 2-1-2 zone and full held it from there. Secrets forces immediately returned to the steaming hot baths of Ebonscale to go through their post-war conditioning regimen. We spoke with Secrets leadership about the war. Great hold out there tonight, losing only one objective. How do you feel it went out there?
I mean, well, first off, I just wanted to give a shout out to their army. I mean, I know they had 25 really solid young money. Then they got some Landlord boys. They got the DG boys in. They got Salt and Co. So, I mean, they really had a stacked roster. We knew we would have some competition going into this. And yeah, they gave us a good pressure on the points. And we ended up having to drop A in the beginning. But, you know, we went with calm and collect. We told our army what we needed to do, and we got it done.
Speaking of getting things done, what does Secrets intend to get done while they're in control?
Our intentions for Ebonscale is to hold it for as long as we can. Hopefully when that T4 house comes out, we still got it. We'll make some money off that. And then as far as Cutlass Keys goes, we want to keep that for a while too. We want to use that as a roster for we can get our players in who aren't getting a lot of war slots and you know, get everyone practiced up. We want everybody to eat, you know.
KOTT News crews called it a night in Ebonscale and got to work on the weather, which looks to be sunny all day again, until early evening when a 40% chance of invasions will pop up around the island. 2 declarations on the books for tonight brought to you by LARPGO. Remember, if it isn't LARPGO, it's cardboard. Up first, the Syndicate forces of Musket Wolf Company march into the bear-infested deep forest of Brightwood and challenge the Marauders of Doggy Wolf Wolf. In a battle of the alpha dogs, musket-armed wolves sound like a pretty sure bet. For Doggy Wolf Wolf, who's a good puppy? You're a good puppy! Where's your tug? Where's your tug? Go get your tug! Good puppy! In the nightcap, the Syndicate forces of Nameless attack the Marauders of the Landlords for the right to rule as Monarch of the Bluff. Newcomer Nameless are making their first attempt to seize land here on the island. Maybe tonight, they'll make a name for themselves. For the Landlords, another unruly would-be tenant, another sheriff's eviction, as the Monarch orders their constables onto the battlefield. Be sure to tune in for complete coverage and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. No change in the dynamic of Eternum last night as both great houses hold court and retain the right to rule their respective regions. KOTT news crews were on the scene at 11 to get a word from the winners in Monarch's Bluff. Well done out there tonight, Sturf. Well fought indeed. How do you believe everyone performed?
It was great, man. That was like 25 people we've never played against, so we didn't know what to expect. Tried some new things, and yeah, they got a point pretty quick. But yeah, it's a good fight. Hats off to them.
Turning to the weather, and while it's a beautiful morning all day long again, there are 2 chances of invasions. Early evening in Brightwood before LARPCO, and late evening in Cutlass Keys after. A record-breaking 6 official simulated fantasy combat resolutions tonight, brought to you by LARPCO. Remember, if it isn't LARPCO, it's cardboard. First up, in first light, the Covenant forces of Young Money respond to the past aggressions of the Syndicate forces of Squirrel Scrubbers. Young Money leadership has decided that holding off the squirrels in the past may equate to conquering them here tonight, so they're going for it. For the Squirrel Scrubbers, maintaining control of the hyssop and spice markets are their top priority, perhaps even greater than OSHA standards may allow.
You guys need to get out of here. Like, you guys should be picking spices or something.
Oh, sorry about.
Meanwhile, the Covenant forces of Kyoto Yohei assail the marauders of landlords in their efforts to adversely possess the Restless Shores. Covenant newcomer Kyoto Yohei takes their first shot at acquiring land by fighting in the mud of Restless Shore. Landlords have become more accustomed to the ever-present anarchy of the archipelago and are standing ready to evict yet another would-be squatter. Then, the Syndicate forces of Searing Void attack the marauders of landlords for control of the fishing port town of Reekwater. Searing Void make their second attempt to secure land on the island, having been turned away by the instigators 2 weeks ago. For the landlords, maintaining a connection to the plentiful fishing hotspots and rapid access to Lazarus are sufficient cause to port block the hackers. As that unfolds, the marauders of We Are Bad will assert that claim upon the Syndicate forces of Secrets for control of the bamboo forest preserves and medicinal hot springs of Ebonscale. The forces of Secret are refreshed from their last fight and ready to measure how bad this group of marauders truly are. On the off chance they meant bad meaning bad, not bad meaning good, this reporter had signed up for a press pass. I say had, because I was reassigned to the next fight, where the Marauders of Dawnguard challenge the reigning heavyweight champs, Regime, for their title belt and the right to rule over Everfall. The Marauder powerhouse of Dawnguard steps up to be the biggest true contender to the championship belt since the most recent wave of refugees arrived on the island. For the champs, if they wish to retain their championship belt and extend their own current never-fall streak to 13, they'll need to bring their best, and they'll have to remember, when an unstoppable LARPCO meets an unmovable LARPCO, they yield to the heart of the contenders. In the nightcap, the Syndicate forces of the Heme Team burgle the Marauders of Dawnguard for control of the financial capital of Windsward. The Syndicate newcomer attempts to catch a split Dawnguard unprepared for a quick smash and grab. The mental fatigue of the previous matchup may take a toll on the elite forces of Dawnguard. They'll have 30 minutes to prove they can fight back to back. We'll have the outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. No change in the dynamic of Eternum last night, as all 6 great houses managed to hold off their would-be usurpers. Of note in Everfall, the champs retained their title belt in decisive fashion, managing a full hold as they extend their never-fall streak to 13. Additionally, the Landlord Collective proved themselves to be a powerful Great House association. KOTT news crews caught up with Sturf in Reekwater after holding 2 regions. Care to comment on your victory tonight here in Reekwater?
Oh yeah, we didn't come over here for funny business, you know.
Turning to the weather, and it's another beautiful morning throughout the early afternoon, but look out for 2 early evening invasions and some more late. 3 official submissions for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPCO. Remember, if it isn't LARPCO, it's cardboard. First up, the Covenant forces of Lost Templar attack the Syndicate forces of, and they don't stop coming, for the primary oil reserves of Weaver's Fen. Lost Templar forces have been systematically attacking the great houses of the island, and now they're going for the Fen. But the forces of, and they don't stop coming, haven't stopped beating every opponent they've faced since taking the peat moss fields of the Fen 2 weeks ago. Then, the Marauders of Context assail the Syndicate forces of Washed Millennials for control of the northernmost territory of Morningdale. Context forces have also been testing their strength against the great houses of the island. Now, they're here to try again. For the Washed Millennials, their second defense of the region, maintaining their forward observation position on the northern death wall. In the nightcap, the Covenant forces of Khan challenge the Marauders of Landlords for control of the Monarch's Bluff. Newcomers Khan are not to be confused with the Syndicate forces of Hexacon. To my knowledge, these zealots have their own agenda. And the agenda for tonight is to attempt to seize the crown from the current monarchs of the Bluff, landlords who feel most comfortable in their ability to defend. Be sure to tune in for complete coverage and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. Dynamic change in the history of Eternum last night as the Covenant forces of Lost Templar seized the primary oil reserves of the Weaver's Fen. Lost Templar leadership was too exhausted from the battle to talk with KOTT news crews. But a mercenary contingent of the battle had this to say.
I think Lost Templar did amazing. I think they did great.
Turning to the weather, and it's going to be another beautiful morning all day long until a rare meteorological event occurs at 2 in the afternoon. What happens then is anyone's guess. Only 2 simulated fantasy combat resolutions coming your way tonight, brought to you by LARPGO. Remember, if it isn't LARPGO, it's cardboard. Up first, the Syndicate forces of Hanakondo assail the Marauders of Landlords for control of the fishing port town of Reekwater. This will be Hanakondo's second attempt to secure land in Eternum, but the first time under new laws of armed conflict. For the Landlords, their confidence is high after wrapping up last season under original rules with the contingency of only 49 defenders, as this reporter was issued a press pass. Check that one out live on the card. In the nightcap, the Covenant forces of Yan Huang attack the Syndicate forces of Secrets for control of the secondary oil reserves of Cutlass Keys. Yan Huang has been fighting around the edges of the island, picking their moments and making good attempts. Will tonight's LOAC adjustments favor them? For Secrets, holding the southern peninsula is essential to their economic engine, with 2 regions under their control. Will the LOAC changes give them a hard decision? We'll have the outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. No change in the dynamic of Eternum last night, as both great houses win out and hold their respective regions another day. KOTT news crews experienced technical difficulties associated with last night's update, so were unable to record reactions. Quickly to the weather, and it's another beautiful morning all day long, almost completely free of invasion, but for a 10% chance in Weaver's Fen late evening. 2 simulated fantasy combat submitted for resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPGO. Remember, if it isn't LARPGO, it's cardboard. Up first, the Syndicate forces of Primordius Virtue return to depose the marauding forces of Waiting for Update for control of the bear-infested deep forest of Brightwood. Primordius Virtue returns to the woods to reclaim its founding rights of possession, almost 6 months to the day since swimming ashore. Waiting for Update is in luck because now it's here, and all they have to do is defend their position against the region's original owner. In the nightcap, the Syndicate forces of Battlesnakes assault the marauders of landlords for their right to rule as monarchs of the Western Bluff. Little is known about the newcomer Battlesnakes. They could have been on the PTR practicing wars for all I know. But what I do know is that the combined forces of the Landlords Association have managed to claim and hold the primary east-west trade routes. They're not a force to be taken lightly. Be sure to tune in for complete coverage and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News.